Headlines of VTV News. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh urges speeding up construction of key transport projects. International aid flows in Vietnam's typhoon-hit provinces. And later on in our world news, Houthis fire hypersonic missile at Israel.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to VTV News, coming live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm presented the first-class labor order to the Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics, or HCMA, during a ceremony in Hanoi on September the 17th, marking its 75th founding anniversary.
In his keynote speech, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm praised achievements of the Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics over its 75-year history, stressing the Academy's vital role in training and nurturing party and political leaders at all levels. He called for continued reform in the Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics training process, advocating a trainee-centered approach that eliminates superficial learning while improving revolutionary ethics, political mettle, and leadership abilities. He also required that the Academy should become a role model in party building, political discipline, and cultivation of the party's characteristics and culture. In recognition of its substantial contributions, the Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics has been awarded numerous accolades by the party and state, including the Gold Star Order, the Ho Chi Minh Order twice, the Independence Order, the title of Labor Hero during the renewal period, and the First-Class Labor Order for the second time.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, head of the State Steering Committee for National Key Transport Projects, chaired the committee's 14th meeting in Hanoi on Tuesday. The meeting connected online with 48 cities and provinces and 40 major projects and 91 component projects.
Since the 13th meeting of the committee, ministries, departments, and localities have actively carried out their assigned tasks. Localities and contractors have confirmed their participation in the 500 Days and Nights campaign to complete 3,000 kilometers of expressways by 2025. Regarding key tasks ahead, the Prime Minister noted the abnormal and adverse weather conditions, exemplified by the recent severe consequences of Typhoon Yagi. He urged relevant entities to make concerted efforts and adapt to natural conditions to handle the remaining workload. The Prime Minister highlighted 5 lessons learned from leading and directing major national projects, clearly assigning tasks, responsibilities, and timelines, enhancing coordination among teams, enforcing timely and strict rewards and discipline, preventing corruption in project implementation, and especially leveraging the strength of national unity.
We must mobilize all available resources and the full strength of the political system. Under the leadership of the party committee, authorities and mobilized organizations should act according to their functions, tasks, and authority. They should implement the on-the-spot method regarding command, forces, equipment, and logistics. I recommend that localities coordinate with contractors to generate employment opportunities.
Regarding specific projects, the Prime Minister assigned detailed tasks and deadlines to local ministries and sectors. Key responsibilities include investment preparation, site clearance, and construction materials. Specific tasks were designated for each ministry, sector, and locality concerning expressways, urban railways, Long Thang Airport, and other airports. The Prime Minister requested that Ho Chi Minh City put the Binh Thanh Sui Tien Urban Railway project into operation by November this year. He also proposed a shift in mindset and approach for project implementation, advocating for a top-down direction with bottom-up execution from grassroots levels.
Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, big data, and the Internet of Things are becoming key tools across industries. Concurrently, substantial investment in digital infrastructure, including widespread telecommunication networks and broadband, is laying the groundwork for Vietnam's digital transformation.
A few years ago, applying for a passport required visiting an office, taking a number, and waiting for hours. Today, citizens can complete the entire process online via the National Public Service Portal. Passports are delivered via post office. This is one of 36 public services now available online, reducing the need for in-person visits, saving time, and cutting down on travel costs and inconveniences.
These are things that just 3 years ago seemed impossible, but now we have the necessary database, equipment, and environment conditions, as well as ensured safety and security to implement them.
In his recent article, Party General Secretary and State President To Lâm affirmed that Vietnam is facing the requirement for a revolution with strong and comprehensive reforms to adjust production relations and create new motives for development. It is the digital transformation revolution.
The Party General Secretary and State President see a great opportunity for Vietnam, requiring decisive action on national digital transformation to boost competitiveness, drive economic growth, and achieve green growth in the face of rapid technological advancement.
Technology can change how individuals and organizations work, but a digital production method can transform entire societies. Vietnam's implementation of the National Population Database and the Citizen Identification Database lays a crucial foundation for successful digital transformation in the coming years.
A clear legal framework is essential for digital transformation and establishing social relationships online. Vietnam needs a comprehensive and open legal structure to advance rapidly and confidently in this process.
Implementing digital transformation is an essential path for Vietnam to make a breakthrough in developing productive forces and refining production relations, leading the country into a new era of progress, civilization, and modernity.
The World Bank has shown a strong commitment to cooperating with and supporting the Vietnamese government in addressing priorities for sustainable agricultural development. In particular, the World Bank has committed to buying carbon credits from the rice industry with a payment mechanism based on emission reduction results. Vietnam is striving to establish 1 million hectares of specialized rice cultivation to reduce emissions in the Mekong Delta by 2030. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has set a target of reducing carbon emissions by 10 million tons per year for the entire rice industry. The World Bank has proposed a payment mechanism for carbon emission reduction based on results of the 1 million hectare rice project with a unit price of $10 per 1 carbon emission reduction credit. Ministries and sectors are discussing the possibility of building a separate payment mechanism for the 1 million hectare project. Currently, the Department of Forestry under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has received $51.5 million from the World Bank to pay for the purchase of forest carbon credits in Vietnam. This amount is being disbursed to nearly 70,000 beneficiaries and supporting the livelihoods of local communities under the benefit sharing plan. To avoid supply chain disruptions and overcome the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi, food companies in Ho Chi Minh City have increased production and ensured an adequate supply of essential goods for people in disaster-stricken areas in the northern provinces. These efforts aim to stabilize the market and support affected consumers.
This food company supplied more than 10,000 instant eggs in just 2 days to people in northern provinces who are suffering from natural disasters. This aid is considered suitable as people in disaster-hit areas can use it without the need for processing. The product can also be preserved for a long time. The company's inventory currently exceeds 100,000 instant eggs, with a production capacity of 30,000 eggs per shift.
We are committed to cutting profits. The company currently sells 7,000 fresh eggs a day. We will convert this quantity into processed products to supply the northern provinces.
More than 200 tons of vegetables and fruits of all kinds have also been added by Saigon Co-op to its price stabilization supermarket system. These batches will be sent to supermarkets in the northern province. They also increase the supply of other foods and essential items. To support people in disaster-hit areas, these items are discounted by 30 to 50%.
We're focused on distributing suitable items, as well as vacuum packing products for convenience to support disaster-hit areas.
The city is ramping up production to meet the sudden rise in demand for people in disaster-hit areas, especially dried and processed foods.
The production of dried and processed food has increased 3 to 4 times compared to normal, in addition to fresh food supplies. Many businesses report that their current inventory can sustain supply to northern provinces for 10 to 20 consecutive days.
Coming up next, international aid flows in Vietnam's typhoon-hit provinces. And Lào Cai to develop voluntourism following Typhoon Yagi. Welcome back to VTV News. To support residents in northern flood-hit provinces, especially areas most severely affected by Typhoon Yagi, the Vietnam Disaster and Dike Management Authority held a handover ceremony of water storage tanks on a Monday in Quang Hoa District, Cao Bằng Province. It is part of a project co-funded by Japan and UNICEF that aims to help Vietnam enhance resilience to disaster risks and climate change.
Lý Văn Dou's family is among the residents eligible to receive a water storage tank.
The water storage tank can only meet our demand in a short term. We always face a severe shortage of water in the dry season. This storage tank helps us keep the water clean.
About 850 water storage tanks will be distributed to the Lạng Sơn and Cao Bằng provinces, focusing on households, hospitals, healthcare facilities, and schools.
We believe in a multi-sectoral response. Now, this is all short-term response, right? So once this will help the family and a child to recover over a short period of time. But in a long run, what UNICEF is also trying to do is engage with partners as well as with the government agencies to ensure that some of the systems that are damaged, like water supply systems, health facilities, schools, so that they don't face the same situation as it is in this typhoon. So we in a way, that will help communities to build their resilience.
Recently, UNICEF has provided water purification tablets, water tanks and ceramic filters to households, schools and healthcare facilities in Yên Bái and Lào Cai provinces.
More than 100 communes have been heavily affected by Typhoon Yagi. The devastating impact of the typhoon has made locals' lives difficult as they lack clean water and live in physically unhealthy circumstances. Therefore, UNICEF's immediate relief will help residents overcome the consequences of the typhoon.
We have received tons of humanitarian relief supplies from the international community. Their relief aims to ensure the health and safety of children and residents in affected communities. A slice of bread when hungry is worth a whole loaf when full.
In addition to UNICEF, many organizations have delivered emergency medical supplies such as vaccines, malnutrition treatments, nutrition supplements and hygiene kits to health centers in the most affected areas.
This week, students in flood-affected areas returned to school, but many arrived without textbooks, and numerous school libraries were inundated with water-damaged books. In response, publishers are preparing to print millions of additional textbooks for these regions. Additionally, approximately 5,000 textbooks have already been donated to the most severely impacted areas to help support recovery efforts. While northern cities and provinces are working on cleanup, many flood-hit areas along rivers have remained isolated and residents are unable to travel. Authorities have stepped up measures to help locals stabilize their lives and provide medical support in time to prevent health risks and environmental pollution in the aftermath of Typhoon Yagi.
Low-lying areas in Hợp Commune, Mỹ district have been strewn with trash, mud and items swept away by the deluge.
Flooded streets with litter floating everywhere have worsened the environmental pollution, so I've tried to collect garbage to keep the area cleaner. If we don't do that, garbage odors will get worse at midday and attract flies and mosquitoes.
More than 2,000 households in Mỹ district have been heavily affected by floodwaters. Floodwaters in some areas have reached 6 meters deep, but many people have yet to evacuate as they want to protect their families' belongings.
I have skin infections due to prolonged exposure to floodwater.
Floodwaters have slowly receded in Kiện Khê town, Hà Nam province. Residents have spent more than a week without electricity and clean water. Before Typhoon Yagi hit the area, locals were recommended to prepare medicine and necessities. However, they have still struggled to clean and disinfect the environment after floodwaters have receded.
We are now lacking chemical disinfectants and chloramine B for flood cleanup. We are calling for donations in terms of medical support.
In the aftermath of the typhoon, the accumulation of waste on flooded streets provides stagnant water, which acts as a prime breeding ground for mosquitoes and increasing the risk of dengue outbreaks. Residents should cover or place fish in water storage containers to prevent the development of mosquito larvae.
To prevent the spread of infectious diseases in areas where floodwaters are receding, authorities have deployed task forces to support residents in cleaning up.
Typhoon Yagi and its aftermath heavily impacted livestock and aquaculture, with nearly 22,000 livestock and over 2,600,000 poultry lost, according to preliminary data by the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. After the storm, households swiftly began cleaning and disinfecting barns to restore livestock farming and prepare for the Lunar New Year holiday.
Phie's family farm is located in Bắc Sơn Commune, Sóc Sơn district, which was flooded for days. Phie said that when the floodwaters rose to half the height of the barn, he had to move his pig to the yard and relocate an additional 500 pigs to another farm. Trucks are now carrying pigs back to the farm.
These pigs may become sick, so it will be challenging for a while. I am aiming to ensure a 70% recovery rate.
Typhoon Yagi also damaged livestock infrastructure. Thuan's farm on a high hill saw fallen trees and blown off coop roofs. After the storm, her family repaired the coops and cared for their 5,000 chickens, preparing to add another 5,000 to meet year-end supply needs.
The biggest challenge now is securing breeding stock. Prices for chicken and pig breeding stock are currently high. The storm has flooded many breeding farms, making stock scarce, and the need to restock for Tet has further increased demand.
We propose a specialized resolution to support production recovery after Typhoon Yagi. Additionally, we recommend that the government postpone debt repayments and provide targeted support to businesses and households.
To restore production, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development recommends that households select breeds with clear origins from reputable suppliers with quarantine certificates, fully vaccinate according to regulations, and avoid restocking if environmental and disease safety cannot be ensured.
After suffering significant damages caused by Typhoon Yagi, the Lào Cai Provincial Department of Tourism is exploring the development of volunteer tourism. This new form of tourism combines travel with community support, focusing on helping villages severely affected by natural disasters. Participants in these volunteer tours will have the chance to engage directly with local residents and contribute to various initiatives, such as constructing public infrastructure and providing medical care. This hands-on involvement not only aids in community recovery, but also allows tourists to gain a deeper understanding of the social challenges faced by the local population. Coming up next in our world news, Houthis fire hypersonic missile at Israel. And a 56th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting convenes in Laos. The Yemeni Houthi group on Monday released footage of its hypersonic missile attack that hit central Israel on Sunday. Houthi-run AI Al-Masirah TV published a video of the launch operation of a hypersonic missile named Palestine 2, adding that it has a range up to 2,150 kilometers and can evade air defense systems, including Israel's Iron Dome air defense platform. The Houthi-launched missile targeted central Israel, leading 9 people to suffer injuries while rushing to shelters. The strike marks the first time a missile fired by the group has reached Israel. In response, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would inflict a heavy price on the Houthi group. The 58-year-old man suspected of attempting to assassinate former U.S. President Donald Trump was charged with 2 gun counts at his initial appearance in federal court on Monday in Florida. The suspect, Ryan Wesley Ruth, had an extensive criminal history. Before the Sunday incident, he was charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Officials said he could face up to 15 years in prison if convicted on the first charge and possibly 5 years if convicted on the second. Trump was the target of an apparent assassination attempt in Florida, according to the FBI. The Republican presidential candidate's campaign and law enforcement confirmed he was safe and unharmed. This is the second apparent assassination attempt on the former U.S. president. Keep walking! The 56th ASEAN Economic Ministers meeting took place on the 16th and 17th of September in Vientiane, Laos. The meeting underscores the commitment of ASEAN members to continue collaboration in the implementation of the ASEAN Economic Community Vision 2025 and defining the vision for the community through 2045. The Southeast Asia region is projected to grow by 4.6% this year and 4.7% next year. The ASEAN chair in 2024, which is Laos, has successfully completed 6 out of 14 proposed economic cooperation initiatives, including the negotiations of upgrading the ASEAN-China Free Trade Agreement to version 3.0. At the meeting, the ASEAN ministers discussed the implementation of free trade agreements between the bloc and its partners. They also considered the possibility of negotiating a free trade agreement with the Gulf Cooperation Council. Vietnam affirmed that ASEAN should be considered the key player in economic and trade collaborations, not just within Southeast Asia, but also in the global supply chain. Vietnam has been a significant contributor to intra-ASEAN economic cooperation, as the country plays an active role in promoting regional integration and global economic growth. Like other crops, including grains, grapes have suffered from heavy rainfall in France over the past year. Bad weather this year has had a catastrophic effect on organic vineyards in western France.
At the Les Trois-Toits estate near the city of Nantes, this year's scant grape harvest leaves a bitter taste for 52-year-old winemaker Vincent Barbier. The first 6 months of 2024 have been very wet with little sunshine. Mildew has seriously damaged Barbier's crops, turning the vine's leaves dark brown and destroying the grapes due to the fungus.
We have a decline of about 90% on the estate, 80 to 90%. The harvest is very complicated. We've had historic rainfall. We exceed the cumulative amounts of the humid tropical zones of the planet over the long term. And we've had exceptionally cold temperatures. So it's an explosive combination for the harvest.
Barbier, who mainly produces organic Muscadet white wine, usually employs 20 people to pick the grapes at this season. But this time, only 8 pickers were trying to salvage what they could.
The questioning really lies on the entrepreneurial level. To lose everything in the name of organic farming, I have to make a decision, that's it. Is it relevant? I have employees, I have a family life, too. In short, I pay for my children's studies. If it's in the name of organic farming that I lose everything. We don't have the tools to fight diseases. We have zero means of protection.
The bad weather has walloped wine production in France, with output expected to be 39.3 million hectolitres this year, down 18% from last year, the Agriculture Ministry recently said. The figure is below an initial range of 40 million-43 million projected last month.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. See you again at 3 p.m. local time.